Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that, but don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 211. We have a bunch of movies this week. Hopefully a lot of them, or maybe all of them, are good to pretty good. We'll see. The movies include this week, for the week of Friday, September 12th, 2025. The movies we are reviewing include Traumatika, Rabbit Trap, Bang Bang, and Code 3. Eric Holmes has seen 3 out of the 4 movies. I've seen, I think, how many of them? I've seen a couple. So we're going to cover a lot of it. Bruce Purkey over in the attic. He reviews the new Netflix series Wayward, which doesn't come out this week, per se, for the week of September 12th, 2025, but it comes out in a couple weeks. But it was the Netflix released their embargo for Wayward, this new series, and Bruce Purkey will have an early review of it for us here at CinemAddicts. How are you, Eric Holmes? How have you been?
Not bad. There's actually a 4th movie, but we're not going to talk about. It's a big old piece of crap, and it doesn't need to be talked about.
All right. So yeah, it's a big old piece of what
I will say, because we talked about this off there, the movie that shall not be mentioned, if it starts picking up steam, I will talk about it and why it's a big old piece of crap is not a triumph, we'll say, but we'll just leave it at that.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't even know if I'll even get to watching that movie, but yeah, so we're leaving that movie.
I wouldn't unless you want to like throw a brick through the screen.
A brick through the screen. Okay.
I've never seen a movie that pissed me off so much.
Oh my goodness. That might be a separate review for Eric Holmes. You can review it and then we'll put it up on another CinemAddicts feed other than the main show. We'll see.
No, because there's this Streisand effect that when you talk about movies that are like it's not like a bad movie, but like when you talk about movies that are like, what were the filmmakers thinking when they made this?
Right.
Imagine doing Nazi propaganda, but now. And I'm not talking about Trump propaganda. I'm talking about actual World War II Nazi propaganda, like nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, I had to have missed something, but F this. But anyway, so the whole idea of the Streisand effect is if I talk about this movie, people will be like, well, maybe we'll watch this movie and see. And then, no.
Yeah.
F this movie, right? This B-hole and family show.
Family show. Eric is very mad about this movie. So we're not going to mention said movie unless maybe, who knows, maybe I might see it. Or if it becomes a thing, then Eric will give his review of this.
I don't think it's getting much traction anyway. So hopefully it'll just go away and good riddance.
Okay, so Traumatika, Rabbit Trap, Bang Bang, and Code 3 are the movies we're covering, and then including that is a Netflix series, Wayward. Also, I wanted to mention for this month's Patreon, we are covering the year 1982. So for our Patreon members, please give us some movie recommendations for what should we cover for the year 1982 for this month's of Patreon. If you are a member of our Patreon, $5 catch-all, you get a bonus episode of CinemAddicts, which is basically me, Bruce, and Eric reviewing movies from a certain year, from the years 1980 to 2020. This month, again, is the year 1982, a very important month for me. So it's been really interesting this month. It's been a nostalgic month for me because 1982 came up already without us recording Patreon because of our weekly CinemAddicts movie club. Thank you, Kenneth Cunningham, for last week. He recommended our movie club members watch The Year of Living Dangerously, a movie starring Mel Gibson and Sigourney Weaver, directed by Peter Weir. That was reviewed last week on the movie club, CinemAddicts Movie Club. That movie was released in 1982. So that was a fun watch. I'd never seen it. And so if you want to be part of the movie club, it's cool. We have, I think right now, maybe 26, 27 members. A lot of the members are active because every week someone from our club picks the movie to watch. Last week, it was The Year of Living Dangerously. As of this week, there is a movie called The Peanut Butter Solution. That's the movie that we are going to cover this week. So to join our movie club, become part of our CinemAddicts Facebook group and become a member of that. And then Mitch Burns heads up the subset of our group, which is the CinemAddicts Movie Club. And every week for our club members, I give away a digital code or a physical media release, a DVD or Blu-ray for our members. So it's an exclusive club, but it's exclusive but fun. It's a very fun club. Eric, you want to say something about it?
I've not seen Peanut Butter Solution since about 2 hours ago, but before that, it's been decades. And
Oh,
that was one I saw as a kid. Then it just burned in my head. And then someone had brought up, I was like, oh, I forgot all about that movie. There was like that. I think there was a Mr. Boogedy, something wicked this way comes was
okay.
like in that thing. And then there was another movie, and I have no idea what it is, but I remember this hermit witch character like in the middle of a forest and some kid going to her and she does some spell and then she says he's invisible and he still sees himself so he doesn't believe it. And that's all I remember of it. And it's just like that one scene. But so obviously I don't remember what the movie is, but
It
yeah,
annoys
peanut
you.
butter
It annoys you that you don't remember what
a
it
little
was,
bit,
right?
but also at the same time, like like with Peanut Butter Solution, I remember really enjoying it as a kid, and then so I watched it again. And nostalgia is doing a lot of heavy lifting for this movie, but it's still enjoyable. Especially there was one scene at the end where someone like busting through a door, like karate stance.
When that person, I forgot who was it, Kyle, one of our members picked the peanut butter solution this
I
week.
think it was Ken Cunningham.
No, I think Cunningham was last week for the year of living dangerously. I forgot. I apologize. I'll do a better job next week for the member who picked the peanut butter solution. I apologize to that. I think it was maybe Kyle. Anyways, I kind of remembered the actual movie title, but then when he put up the movie poster, that colorful movie poster for the peanut butter solution, then my mind raced. I go, I think I remember this sort of movie, which I never watched back in the 80s or whatever, whenever it was released. So I'm excited to watch it. And for our movie club members, what we do is every week on Friday, Mitch Burns, the one who created the movie club, he opens up the chat room and people can just the chat message room on Meta, Facebook, whatever, and then people starting Friday can give their rating and review of the weekly movies. Mitch Burns, thank you so much for creating the club. He every week he collates or archives or curates all of the ratings from our movie club members for the movies, and we have a cinematics list. It's pretty cool. It's very,
The
very, it's very
the
good.
Kyle Dorholt.
Okay, yeah, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle Dorholt. Dorholt? Okay, Dorholt.
I believe so. Well, I'm just going by
Yeah.
I'm going by the list. So
Okay.
Ken Cunningham was the year of living dangerously. So
The next one would be Kyle, right? Yeah. I
I
mentioned Kyle.
believe so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kyle. And yes, Cinematics listeners, please join our movie club and then maybe so the way we pick every week, it's an alphabetical order, like Eric was insinuating here. So join our club. It's fun and it's weird because this is a way I actually get to, as a podcaster, this is the way I have to talk to humans. And Eric and Bruce know that I rarely do that. And Angie Clark. I talked to Angie Clark, who's a good friend of the show, just a good friend, period. There are very few people I talk to in real life. Eric knows this. Bruce knows this. They never bother me, and they just they take me for who I am. And thank you, Eric Holmes, for understanding that I'm very antisocial and I just
I
only talk.
I wouldn't say I agree. I've just submitted to it at this point.
It's the truth, folks. This is not for show. For example, Anderson Cowan and I, one of the best friends I've ever had in my life, I haven't talked to him in months because he's not doing the show anymore. And on the other side, it's not just me. Anderson's always busy, but I will say this about Anderson Cowan, co-creator of CinemAddicts. He is much more social than I am. And I'm just a hermit. Eric Holmes is very social. I would say Bruce Purkey, because of what he does, he's a social person too, because he has a family. You have to be a little bit social, Eric, right? To have some kind of family, kids and
Yeah.
whatnot. And yeah, it's
Also
just,
running karaoke, it's hard to not be social when you're doing that.
and with running karaoke, Eric, you have to actually engage people. So hopefully we'll use some of your
Or
engage.
at least it helps. If you don't, then
Okay.
it's hard to do that hiding behind a curtain like the great and powerful Oz.
Well, we'll try to hide behind a curtain right now. Give my golden voice a little bit of a rest while Eric Holmes takes over our first movie this week. It is called Rabbit Trap, and I'm going to just say the plot synopsis right now. It's 88 minutes, opens in theaters September 12th. Quote, the thriller centers on a sound engineer, played by Dev Patel, and his experimental musician wife, played by Rosie McEwen. They capture a forbidden sound that has not met It's not meant for human ears, while they're making field recordings in the ancient Welsh woodlands. This brings a strange child, played by Jade Crute, to their doorstep who draws them into a mysterious realm where their line between reality and myth begins to blur. Written and directed by Bryn Cheney. It's 88 minutes. I saw the trailer and I thought it looked like folk horror, indie, PORN family show. And then I realized Bruce Purkey, our brothers in arms, he saw Rabbit Trap before I even got to go to it. And I said, let Bruce Purkey take that bullet because it seems like a very pretentious thriller folk horror thing. I'm staying away from this movie. Eric Holmes, please prove me that I was wrong from watching the trailer. Am I completely wrong? Was it actually not a waste of time for you? And did you actually enjoy Rabbit Trap?
I'm confused about the plot synopsis because
Okay.
I don't recall a sound that triggers a demon thing.
Okay.
But then again, this movie's kind of dream logic-y.
I was warning you. I was saying you don't have to do Rabbit Trap, and you went right into the Rabbit Trap, Eric, and maybe you...
Well, I just got done watching the movie that we can't talk about because it's such a piece of crap that I had to watch something. And so this was the next one. And I think by default, this one wasn't bad. But I think the closest comparison you can get is Antichrist.
Okay.
And try explaining that to someone. It's just like, you watch it, a bunch of weird stuff happens. And I mean, that, there's definitely the thing with Dev Patel, Rosie McEwen,
both good actors
doing family stuff, and Jade Crute is the child, young adult at the very least. She keeps coming up, and weird things keep happening.
Weird things keep happening. Are they interesting things, Eric? Did it keep you fascinated or engaged in its 88 minutes, or was it a slog for you?
This was one of those situations where I was mostly confused, but still leaning forward, trying to figure out what was happening next. So it wasn't like I was confused and also bored. This was like, I don't know what's going on, but ooh, okay, what's this? And then the next scene would come up. And then by the time the movie finishes, I'm like, all right, I guess that happened. So
the ending did not fulfill sort of your wants or the questions you had in your mind regarding the movie.
It's just, I was hoping the ending would tie things together, and it didn't. It wasn't bad, but I just chalked it up to a weird dream I had. And it was a cool dream, but I couldn't describe it to you if you paid me. And the best I can say is that Deb Patel and Rosie McEwen are just a couple away in a cabin, and then Jade Crute comes in and makes things weird. And then things just get weird throughout the 80 minutes, and then the movie ends.
Is that a recommend from you? Is that, or no?
It's a weird recommend. You have to be in a movie for this kind of movie. And like I said, if you're into something like Antichrist, like you can, vibe with that sort of tone of movie, then you'd probably dig Rabbit Trap. If you watch Antichrist and you're like, nope. And I'm not even talking about the gross stuff in Antichrist. I'm just talking about the weird narrative that it presents. If you're not into that, you won't be into this because it's kind of the same thing.
Do you understand?
I just happen to be into it. I just didn't understand a lick of it.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. All right, so Rabbit Trap is for people who are cinephiles who are enjoying maybe a little bit of abstraction with their storyline, I'm assuming. A little bit.
Or a lot of abstraction, but yeah.
A lot of abstraction. Again, September 12th, that is Rabbit Trap, starring Deb Patel, Rosie McEwen, and Jade Crute. Only 88 minutes. Did it feel like 88 minutes or 880 minutes to you, Eric Holmes?
If you've ever taken like a acid,
battery acid?
10 minutes pass by?
Oh, okay.
Or 10 hours pass by?
That's true.
I don't know. I was just in it.
You're just a very good answer, Eric Holmes. Your rating for Rabbit Trap?
I'll probably go 3 stars on this.
3 stars from Eric Holmes for...
Yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, a way to describe, go for it. I can't guarantee any of it will make sense, but, if you're into that sort of thing, maybe you'll get something out of it. And if you're not into that kind of movie, obviously stay away because this will not hold your hand.
Wow. So, I mean, again, sometimes that could be a good thing for people who are, like you said, are into that thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's not a narrative story to follow. It's an experience to sit back and eat your portobellos and go, oh, cool.
Next up is a movie called Bang Bang. The movie is headlined by Tim Blake Nelson. I'm actually going to lead with Eric Holmes with this. Oh, actually, Eric Holmes had to leave the room for a second because he is coughing, but it centers on retired boxer Bernard Rosiski, again, played by Tim Blake Nelson. He is trying to reconnect with his estranged grandson, played by Andrew Liner. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, Andrew Liner. He's trying to connect with his grandson because his daughter is played by Nina Arianda. She has to leave her son with her father for a while because she's off trying to do another job and she can't really take care of the son. And what happens is Bang gets to know his grandson. As we are introduced to Bang, he is a very irascible, annoying person. He's a former boxer and he seems to be very self-centered and he's not the kindest person on the block. He lives in sort of a rundown neighborhood in Detroit, and he spends his days eating ketchup sandwiches, going to the local liquor store, getting some booze to take home with his bread, a loaf of bread and ketchup. And he's just, I don't know, this boxer is not in good straits regarding his life. And again, he is very antisocial. But what happens is Bang is starting to get to know his grandson, and then he notices his grandson is actually might have a talent in boxing himself. He has what Bang quotes describes as heavy hands. So his grandson, he believes, might be a very effective pugilist. So what happens in this movie, Bang, is he starts training his grandson to be a boxer. So Eric, what do you think of a movie? It's a boxing film. It stars Tim Blake Nelson. He plays this guy named Bang, former boxer. And the movie initially centers on how this Bang tries to train his grandson into becoming a boxer. And remember, Bang is not a very likable fellow. Where do you think the story will go if you're hearing it? Does it seem like every single story you've heard before, coming of age, grandson teaching his grandfather teaching the grandson? Yeah.
I'm curious if at the end it turns out he was actually Rocky Balboa the whole time.
What do you think of Tim Blake Nelson as an actor? Your thoughts on him?
Love him.
Give me a couple of movies that you love. I think you're going to of course.
Old Henry.
Old Henry, he's so great in Old Henry. If you've not seen this Western, it stars Tim Blake Nelson and Stephen Dorff. Excellent Western, still stands the test of time. I think it was released several years ago. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Legend of Buster Scruggs. Buster.
It was a horny toad.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that movie he was in with Jennifer Aniston?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it was like The Good Girl, where they're banging. I think that's Sammy's the dog's barking. Like, get in your corner. Get in your corner.
Oh, I've never seen that movie. Yeah. So I think
that was good stuff. At least I remember it being good.
Right. But
Tim the corner, who knows?
Well, Tim Blake Nelson, excellent actor, and he gives such a great performance in Bang. So you think it's going to be just about this pessimistic former boxer learning the ropes, giving his grandson some life lessons. And it is a little bit about that. But then, without giving too much away, Bang turns into a completely different story because this guy, he has demons from his past, and he has a very big bone to pick with a fellow former boxer played by Glenn Plummer. This former boxer is now trying to run for mayor in Detroit, and his former competitor, this former boxer, is now a very well-to-do businessman. He's had sort of this George Foreman Grill-esque type of marketing situation. I think it was a juicer. He's made probably millions off of that. So while Bang is not exactly rolling in the dough, he sees his lifelong competitor being rich. And so there's something that happened between both of them years ago that Bang still holds a grudge over. So it's not just about Bang learning more about his grandson. It's also about Bang trying to reconcile his past, or maybe he will just blow up his past and find some kind of confrontation with this fellow competitor, ex-boxer played by Glenn Plummer. Movie also stars Kevin Corrigan as Bang's best friend. And yeah, it's I think it's Bruce Purkey. Every week he tries to find a quote hidden gem. This is probably one of my big hidden gems of 2025. Bang features just a very memorable character. You don't know, he's so unpredictable. You think a lesser movie would have Bang softening up or just learning how to love again or unconditionally love his family. And no, this is actually, maybe there are notes of that in this movie, but the script by Will Janowitz is so well written and uncompromising. Each, it's just such a well written film, and it's beautifully shot by director Vincent Grisha. And it feels real. It's a boxing movie that doesn't feel like cinema. It feels like a real life movie with some really great writing and performances. Did you ever watch Fame, the TV series? Okay, so yeah, there's an actress, I think Erica Gimple or something like that. She's also in this movie as a former flame of Bang, and she's very good as well. There are so many interesting little moments in this movie that add up to one great big moment as well. It's just a really excellent film, and it hits theater September 12th. I hope more people give this movie a shot. It's completely, I need to see even more Tim Blake Nelson movies, because after loving him in Old Henry, this performance is just right up there, if not even better than Old Henry. It's just on that same shelf, right on the tops of Tim Blake Nelson performances. And again, just great acting, great writing, great directing all across the board. 4.5 stars for Bang. The third act, it's really well done and resonant and funny and dramatic and a little bit violent. It has all of the good things for Bang Bang. I already have no idea why I'm not even giving it 5 stars. But anyways, again,
it sounds like it compares favorably to Old Henry, because that was one where it's like, oh, cool Western with Tim Blake Nelson. Let's watch it, and then we're like, whoa, where'd this come from? And is that kind of where we're at with Bang?
I think, Eric, if you see this movie, not like you had time, because along with the movies that you had to watch this week for this episode, you had to watch a couple other movies for reviews and interviews that you're doing outside of this purview of this specific.
I'm definitely watching. I'm putting this on tonight for sure.
I guarantee you, Eric, that you are not going, as far as your rating for Bang, it will not go lower than 4.5. I would be surprised if you don't give it 5. That's how there's Bang Bang. I'm trying to think of more memorable characters than Bang, or they don't call him Bang. A lot of the people just call him Bang. If you like Tim Blake Nelson, you're going to be in the bag for this movie. B, Bang is such a great and memorable character. We also have to give some props to the grandson, who played by Andrew Liner. He's also very good in his moments with Bang, has a good presence about him. He's going to be a big actor in the future. And also look out for, I wonder if this writer, Will Janowitz, he's also in the movie. He stars as a fellow big brother figure to the grandson. He has a small role in this movie as well, Will Janowitz, but it's his screenplay. It'll be interesting to see if Will Janowitz has more interesting screenplays as well, other than Bang. It's a really well-written script. And Vincent Grisha, he's done other movies, and I can't wait to go rewind and try to see if, I think he did a movie called What Josiah Saw. I could be wrong on that, but I really want to research this director as well and see maybe he has some gems in his past as far as cinema goes, because this is an excellent.
We saw that. That was with
Robert Patrick.
Yeah, Robert Patrick.
I don't think I ever saw it. Maybe you and Bruce.
It was not bad.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, if that's a movie he did before Bang, then yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that is Bang. Again,
I'm looking up the writer. He's written like 3 billion things.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, he wrote George Washington, the David Gordon Green movie.
Really?
Nope. He starred in it.
Okay. He starred in it. Okay. Yeah. No, he's also an actor. Sorry. Will Janowitz is also an actor, but I think he did wrote a movie called Dula or something like that.
Okay. So he's written 7 things. So Andula, Pitcher Catcher, short called Troll, Super Goo, Jonathan Starhorse, and Gnome. And bunch of shorts.
And of course, I'm sure you love Kevin Corrigan. He's such a great character actor. Kevin Corrigan has a really nice, he's a supporting player in this movie, but he has a really good scene as well. There are so many great scenes. Glenn Plummer, you might know him from Speed, and he's very good as well as the, quote, antagonist of the film. Such a beautiful film. Theaters, September 12th. Again, my rating, 4.5 stars. Finally, we buried the lead this week. It's running at 81 minutes as of
We buried it twice as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Its rating right now is unrated. Here is the plot synopsis for Traumatika. Quote, a young boy's night terrors become reality when his mother begins showing signs of demonic possession. What he's about to experience will haunt him for the rest of his life and claim countless lives across generations. It's written and co-written and directed by Pierre. The other co-writer is Maxime Rancon. Both Eric and I interviewed the filmmakers separately, and we both interviewed Rebecca Kennedy and Sean Whalen. We did a bunch of interviews for Traumatika on our separate feeds. We both really enjoyed this movie. I just read the plot synopsis. I guess it makes sense. I think, Eric, I don't know if you agree with me that the plot isn't really the biggest pull behind Traumatika as far as I love the atmosphere. I love the anecdotal feel of it. I love the whole spirit of Traumatika. Take it away.
Yeah, but it's not as esoteric as Rabbit Trap is. There,
100%.
You can still follow what's going on.
Yeah.
So starts off with this guy finds a thing and some crazy stuff happens. And then we cut to present day, which is
Pasadena.
movie code for we're about to watch 20 minutes of nothing, except for if you're watching Traumatic. Because then they cut to present day and we're basically at the climax of the movie or climax of a movie.
Right.
There's a kid in the house, a crazy lady that's cut up and weird looking, and cops trying to get in. And then he finally gets in the house. And it's the part of the movie where, the kid's trapped and the detective gets there and he's going to save the kid, right? Or he's going to save the kid, or it's gonna, it's horror. Maybe it doesn't end so good. And then after that, okay, we're about half hour into it now. We had two awesome cold opens. Okay, now we go to the turning the alarm clock off in 20 minutes of nothing. Nope, now we're following the guy that present day gets the, what do you call it, the artifact or whatever.
Right.
And then he gets the demon inside of him. And then so now we're getting more of this. This movie doesn't let up. It's either giving you like, action-y scenes, bloody scenes, or it's moving the story along. I would say one thing that goes against this a little bit is that there's certainly some scenes of just obvious exposition. Whatever. They forewent one of my biggest movie pet peeves by doing a great cold open and then cut to nothing for 20 minutes. Like, this movie just moves at such a clip that, you know what, if the trade-off is that we got to get some scenes with like obvious exposition, I'll take it. I'll take it all day, every day.
And it gets scary. The movie is scary. There are moments, if you are into the tense atmosphere of this horror thriller, it just, for its indie budget, it totally works. I don't know how you feel about that. I was creeped out a little bit. And Rebecca Kennedy's fantastic as that just woman who's very dire straits, I suppose.
Yeah, she's pretty great. What was the name of the lady? The Susan Gale played Karen Novak. Susan Gale Watts, the TV lady.
Yeah, she's very good. Fantastic.
And then that whole thing, the
that's the third act of the
movie. Yeah,
yeah, that's sort of the third act.
It's just a good one, and I know you'll hear why later, but I guess Bruce really did not like this at all.
Right.
I'm very curious to hear why.
Right. This movie
because
also,
this movie's definitely like a horror movie. Like it's not going to win Oscars or anything, but for what it's trying to do, I think this does it better than most movies of this type.
Yeah, no, it's a scary.
The movie starts and it's all right. Let's you know what? Let's not waste time. Let's just cut to the chase, and then the whole movie's the chase. I love it.
Right, and Eric mentioned the artifact. You're wondering what the curse is. What is this world of Traumatika and whatnot? Ultimately, that construct helps basically give viewers almost 4 movies rolled up into one, because you have all of these different chapters, and it shows how the curse is affecting these different people within each chapter. And it works really well, I think, across the generations. So my rating for Traumatika on an indie was tense, very tense. For me, Rebecca Kennedy, not just because I interviewed her and Eric interviewed her as well, I thought she was fantastic in Traumatika, and she got me scared. And there's some really interesting, I don't want to give too much away, but there's some really, Sean O'Brien, as I don't want to say what he is. He's a person who's he plays an individual who shouldn't have done something, and he does it out of temptation, and you see what leads to the repercussions
Don't
of his
open it
actions.
around them kids, man. F them kids.
Exactly. So he's very good in this movie. There's just some really good acting and just well cinematic execution in Traumatika. I'm giving it 4 stars. I think it's a first class indie horror for me.
I'm right there with you. And the thing is, these kind of horror movies are like usually 2.5 stars for me. Like they're not my kind of horror movies, but just like all the stuff that they did to, they never let off the gas. It's like as soon as the credits, opening credits, boom. We're just
81
gonna stick
minutes.
with this movie, and it doesn't let up until the end credits. And even during the end credits, it didn't let up because it ends with jet music, which I was like rocking out to. So that was cool too.
So that is Traumatika, 4 stars.
Or whatever the hell it was.
That is 4 stars from Eric Holmes. 4 stars for me for Traumatika. It's a pretty good recommendation from me and Eric. And again, it's directed.
Us. Stay tuned for Bruce's review. I think that'll be much lower, but I'm very interested to hear why.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't heard Bruce's review yet over in the attic. And Eric, you might not have to feed him people food after he gave such a bad, possibly a negative rating to Traumatika. What is he thinking? We'll see.
I allow Bruce to have his opinions. I don't always agree with him.
Oh, we love Bruce. Again, directed by Peterson Sigaridis, and he also co-wrote the movie with Maxime Rancon. Traumatika stars Rebecca Kennedy, Emily Goss, Sean Whalen, and Sean O'Brien. I think that is it for this week's CinemAddicts episode. What is it? 311? Oh, wait. Did I miss something?
You did.
Oh, my gosh. Eric Holmes, you want to lead off
I'll
to
tell it to you in
this?
code. There's 3 of them.
Thank you, Eric Holmes. I thought I was going to sign off. There is one more.
We missed the best movie or the best movie I saw this week.
Oh, Eric Holmes, Code 3. It's, quote, directed by...
And I really love Traumatika, so that's saying something.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear this because I was recommending Code 3 to you, and I was wishing that it was a good recommendation by me. So, directed by Christopher Leone, Code 3 is a high-octane action dramedy that follows a world-weary paramedic played by Rainn Wilson, and he has a final 24-hour shift at his job, in his Los Angeles job as a paramedic, and he's training an eager but inexperienced replacement played by Amy Carrero. And what starts as a routine 24-hour shift turns into it's the job of paramedics. Very chaotic citywide odyssey. Also starring in this movie is Lil Rel Howery. He is a co-worker of that world-weary paramedic played by Rainn Wilson. Again, it is Code 3. The running time is 104 minutes. The screenplay is grounded in real-life experiences because it was co-written by former paramedic Patrick Pianessa and director Christopher Leone. So again, in theaters, September 12th, running time 104 minutes. Eric Holmes, your review of Code 3.
Actually, I'll start off with a question. Greg, did you get teary-eyed in this at all?
No.
I did 3 or 4 times.
I just lied to you. Of course, I did get teary-eyed. There is a scene with Lil Rel Howery. We're not going to say what is.
That scene. Yes.
Dude,
that scene was so good. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. Well,
we're not going to
before the horse for sure. Yeah. It starts off, it's got kind of like a light, airy kind of comedy vibe. So, okay, this is Super Troopers, but in an ambulance. But then, it starts going a little more. Okay, I think this is less Super Troopers and more Scrubs. Have you seen the show Scrubs?
Right.
Scrubs is funny and silly, but when it gets serious, like it goes like full in.
And one of the reasons why you're thinking that, Eric, is because it stars Rainn Wilson and Lil Rel Howery and Rob Riggle, the doctor. So you're thinking there's going to be some yucks, right?
I mean, Rob Riggle's, he's just an a-hole in this. Like, Rainn Wilson's an a-hole, but you're following him through the whole movie. Like, anytime Rob Riggle shows up, it's like, I just want to punch him. Like, I just totally want to punch him.
Also, the movie co-stars Paige Kennedy, whom Eric actually interviewed several months ago. Paige Kennedy, he plays an officer. It's a very small role. Eric, you probably blinked if you missed him, but he's also in this movie.
What other movie was he in? It was part of something.
So
I can't remember. The movie was a different breed, though. Right?
Very good.
A breed apart.
A breed apart. We love that movie. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Eric.
Paige Kennedy's 2 for 2. Love Breed Apart. Love this. And yeah, so it's got that light, airy kind of thing. So it's not like and don't get me wrong, the Bring Out the Dead, loved
Hmm.
Bring Out the Dead, and then what was that one
It
we
was Sean
just
Penn.
saw?
I
Yeah,
forgot. It was with Sean Penn. I did not see it with you guys, but you and Bruce saw it.
but those have their own kind of, and even Bringing Out the Dead has comedy in it, but it's a little more intense and dark. This one's pretty much, oh, we're watching a silly comedy, but then it has these scenes or takes things a little more seriously at certain points to where it's almost blindsides you a bit. It's, oh, I was not expecting to go a certain way right about it.
Eric, I got to ask you a question about Code 3, though. There's maybe several moments, actually a lot of moments, well, maybe six or
Yes.
seven moments when Randy, played by Rainn Wilson, he is speaking, he breaks the fourth wall, he's talking to the
Yeah.
camera. Were you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean that's how they started it off, so it made it seem like we're not taking this too seriously, we're having fun with it. But
Mhm.
then they use it, like they kept bringing it up throughout the movie, and I think they use it to pretty good effect. I mean, it's basically a narrator at that point, when he breaks or Zach from Saved by the Bell turns time out and then
Right.
talks, that sort of thing. But yeah, I didn't have a problem with it at all. In fact, I think many times movies do that. Usually turns out pretty good. Sometimes it's a little too on the nose, but a lot of times I dig it. I
That
certainly dug it here.
Code 3 is a very
Especially, oh, there was a point at the end where he did it and he walked by a bunch of people.
very well done. Yeah.
And that part really hit for me as well.
Yeah, Randy, that's the name. The character Randy is played by Rainn Wilson, and Randy gets another possible job. He's trying to get a job at in an insurance company just so he's been a paramedic for I think at least 18 years and he's so burnt out. Paramedics, they're not getting well paid for the job that they do. So that's actually explored in this, how they're underpaid. And it also shows obviously the vagaries of the medical system where even the Rob Riggle character, who like Eric Holmes is an a-hole in the movie, you sort of understand that because the hospital is just filled with so many things and they're so understaffed. You get sort of the whole, I mean, it's something that adults know about the medical profession. You don't even have to work in the medical profession, that people are really working their, what's off. And people like me and Eric, the normal folk, we're paying a lot of money as well. So it's just a big screw job all around for everybody. And it's a very frustrating thing. And that's
The cool
explored
thing
in
about
Code 3.
the cool thing about Rob Riggle's character is that he's such an a-hole throughout the whole movie, and then they pay it off.
Right. Yeah, they paid off very
And
well.
that payoff was like, oh, so satisfying. It's like packing peanut bubbles or whatever.
Right. Also, we have to mention Amy Carrero. She plays Jessica, the person who's under the wing of Randy and his partner Mike. Mike, again, played by Lil Rel Howery. She is trying to learn the ropes from these two paramedics during her 24-hour shift with them, and has an interesting arc as well within the context of Code 3. Lil Rel Howery, good actor, very funny person. We're not going to mention what scene. There is a scene regarding his character, and it's
The
so well
president of
done.
the United States.
Right, exactly, exactly. There's this scene with Lil Rel Howery, and you're thinking, wow, he needs to be in more just straight up dramatic roles. He's so good in that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yvette Nicole Brown is Shanice.
yeah, she's great as a boss of of that whole EMS paramedic corps. She's good.
Yeah, and she's buried over that bridge. You've heard of it? Yeah. You have you have a better chance of raising my mother from the dead.
Yeah,
Like
there-
she's got such attitude in this, it's hilarious.
she's
I'm
very
not selling it well at all because I'm not her, but
yeah. I
yeah.
don't know, but Yvette Nicole
I
Brown,
mean,
you might know from Community. Yeah, Eric,
what's wrong with this movie?
what's wrong with this movie?
Nothing, as far as I can tell. This is like a great episode of Scrubs.
I will say this, I will warn people, it's a movie about paramedics. So you're going to see if you don't want to be squeamish. I'm not saying it's gory what happens, but
Yeah,
it's not sugar coated. It's not sugar coated. The jobs that they go, the
I was
places they go.
I would say some of the parts that jerked my tears were a little saccharine, but I was like the movie, I think, pulled it out of me, and I'm like, I'll give it to you. You earned that. you know. And I get you're cheating a little bit, you know. It's a little broad, but I don't care because I'm just all in on this.
There,
You know what it's like that A Million Miles Away?
right, exactly. Yeah.
It's got that same kind of feel to it. It's like kind of light, you know, can be melodramatic at times, but that's the tone it's going for. So you can sort of get on board with that.
And this movie honors paramedics and what they do, the hard work that they do. And it's not a movie that, like Eric was saying, there are some moments which pulls at your heartstrings, but that does not mean this movie sugarcoats a lot of things. There's tough stuff that happens in this movie that is hard to watch. I'm thinking of one of the situations that they go to, and wow,
there was one part I was like, do not go there, do not go there.
And you just,
and then every
oh,
last molecule of air in my lungs just left and was like, oh, it was like such a relief. But
yeah.
And then there was other parts where it's, oh, okay. Like when you think it's just going to be like absolutely horrible, it'll pull you back and go, it's not all bad. But then sometimes don't get too comfortable because it'll be like, yeah, see, things are going good, huh? And then it'll just pull the rug right out from under you. It's, oh man, and then just break your heart.
Yeah. And Eric was saying that he was thinking it might be a little bit more of a sort of a comedy kind of thing, and there are splashes of it. You look at the poster for Code 3 and it looks like a comedy, and there are a lot of dramatic, let's just say there's a lot of dramatic moments in Code 3 running.
I wouldn't say there's splashes of comedy. I think there's comedy painted all over this.
Okay, cool.
And they also lean into the dark humor that, you know, paramedics and people in these situations, you know, resort to, because why not? I keep saying somehow.
By the way, also great performance by Rainn Wilson. He's so good in this movie.
Yes.
And very memorable. Yeah. Hold on one second. But yeah, Randy plays Randy. So yeah, and there's some action in this movie.
So I will ask you again, what's wrong with this movie? Because I'm about to give this 5 stars.
Okay, I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie.
And I'm trying to figure out it didn't even overstay its welcome. It's like exactly as by the time it ended, I was like, yeah, it felt pretty good.
Oh, sorry about this. My video just got hit. Hold on.
Oh,
there it goes. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It's also worth a rewatch. I think my only complaint is a compliment. I wanted more of the crew. I wanted to see them on more situations.
Well,
this could have been a series.
You got to wait for Code 4, Greg. We'll watch Code 4 when it comes out, and then.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying you're allowed to give this 5 stars. Also, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying you're allowed to.
I love the performances. Love the story. I'm looking at some of the trailers. You're right. There are more than splashes of comedy. There's this one situation where they go to a nursing home, which is comedy, and it's also drama. Really, that's a really well done scene too. I'm giving Code 3 4 stars. Really enjoyed this movie. 4 stars for me. What about you, Eric Holmes?
I already gave it 5 stars.
5 stars for Eric Holmes. Yeah. You loved it so much. I
love this movie, and I really want to watch it again too, because it's just one of those. I think this also, with the comedy in it and the moments that kind of get your heart going, whether it breaks your heart or, you know, brightens it. This is something you just watch over and over again.
Yeah. So the Lil Rel Howery scene, were you really stressed when you were watching it? Oh my God.
Yes. He
wow.
He took me there, so to speak.
Yes. Excellent stuff. And even the Rainn Wilson character, he's so sick of his job. He's so sick of getting underpaid. He eats muffins and coffee and doesn't have a healthy meal at all.
Well, he tries to.
And he is so pessimistic. All of that vitriol that he has is understandable. All the way deep down inside, he loves his job. And that's just what's very interesting regarding Code 3. Again, directed by Christopher Leone. Leone co-wrote it with Patrick Pianezza. Code 3, 5 stars from Eric Holmes and 4.5 stars from me. So that is it for this week of CinemAddicts, episode 311. That's it for me and Eric Holmes. Some stuff from Bruce Purkey as well. By the way, thank you for listening. Every single week, me, Eric, and Bruce, we try to give you some interesting gems or give you advice on movies, what to see or what not to see. If you can, please support us by subscribing to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcatcher you use. Plus, subscribe to us over at our CinemAddicts YouTube channel as well. That's where we get our audio version of CinemAddicts up there as well, without any ads, without any ads as well. So if you listen to us on your iPhone or however, whatever these audio platforms are, you'll get commercials because that's how we make our like really little pennies on that. But if you don't want to listen to commercials, please subscribe to our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. I put up our audio podcast every single week. You want to say anything before we get out of here, Eric Holmes?
Yes, but I can't remember what it was. So
Oh no.
go watch Code 3 and then watch Traumatika. And then don't watch the movie that I didn't talk about because I'm not going to talk about it. But if you figure out what movie it is, hit me up and I'll tell you if you're right or not.
Oh wow. Okay. Hit up Eric Holmes, Ham Slam.
And oh yeah, the CinemAddicts Movie Club, the Peanut Butter Solutions this week. And
you having a good time with the CinemAddicts Movie Club?
Yeah, so I missed the last two. I started watching I missed the Rudderless and the
Year of Living. The Year of Living.
Well, I started watching it today, but I didn't get it done in time for the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No worries. Oh, well, if you do get the Year of Living Dangerously, if you ever do finish watching it, Eric, you can put it in the chat and just put your rating so you can add it. Google Sheet, whatever you use this.
I'm about a half hour into it.
Okay.
So it's cool watching a Mel Gibson movie where he's still got his accent.
Right. And I was going to say, and integrity. No, I love Mel Gibson. I love this stuff. And tell me what you think of it. So anyways, that is it for this week. Here is Bruce Purkey with some of his reviews. And if you want Eric Holmes, should they mute him during the Traumatika review? What do you think?
Oh, Bruce?
No.
That's the whole point of doing this.
Of course.
In fact, that's one of the reasons I miss having Bruce here.
I don't miss having Bruce here. Yeah, you miss having Bruce here? Huh?
Well, like me and you will disagree on movies sometimes, but like me and Bruce disagree on movies a lot. So it's always fun having a real time back and forth on things.
That's true. That is very true.
But also, my word is not the last word.
Exactly.
It's usually not even a good word. So listen to Bruce and see what he says. Maybe agree with him, maybe agree with me. I don't know.
All right.
But just so long as, hey, if you watched the movie and you liked it, good. If you watch it and you didn't, sorry, maybe the next one.
Well,
watch Code 3.
Yeah, Eric Holmes is saying watch Code 3, and I'm saying yes, Code 3 is great. Traumatika is great. My pick this week is Bang. Definitely, please check out Bang, boxing movie starring Tim Blake Nelson. That is it for this week for me and Eric. But now, here's Bruce Purkey over at the CinemAddicts.
Welcome to the CinemAddicts, another episode of the Attic of Cinema. Once again, I was chained in the attic. Yeah, chained. He's using a chain now. I gotta break these chains. No, he'll let me out soon. He keeps promising me. He says, I'm good. And I keep watching movies and keep giving him good reviews. I'll get the chain taken off, but maybe I won't have all good reviews this week. I'm not sure. We'll see. Either way, I'm going to give you another week of the Cinem-Attic. What did I watch this week? Well, one thing I'm not going to review is I did watch an entire season 3 of The Diplomat, but that is embargoed until October. So I can't talk about that. But if you have been watching Netflix's series with Kerry Russell called The Diplomat, I should have an update for you on the newest season of that in a few weeks. What I do have for you this week is another Netflix brand new series called Wayward. And then I also have 2 movies. I've got Traumatika, like trauma, and I've got Rabbit Trap. So let's get into it. Okay, what am I going to hit first? I think I'm going to do Wayward first. So Wayward is at this point a single season on Netflix. It should be out by the time this comes out or within a day or so. I think it's coming out this Friday the 12th on Netflix. A brand new series, and by the looks of it, it's probably designed to have more seasons, which to me is somewhat of a disadvantage, although we'll get into it in a second here. The most notable person in this series is going to be Toni Collette. In fact, on the cover, or not the cover, the poster, the promo materials, you see her prominently displayed. Toni Collette plays Evelyn Wade. Other characters in this are Mae Martin is playing Alex. Laura is played by Sora Gadon. I'm terrible always. Layla is played by Alvia Lind, and Abbie is played by Sydney Toplife. Now, basic concept of this, first of all, I really like movies and TV series to some degree, but I really like movies where there's like a weird town or, strangers are traveling on a trip somewhere, and they end up in odd village, and everyone's acting a little strange. You're not sure what's going on, but there's something's afoot, and that mystery and the oddness of the town will be revealed. Old movies that I really liked like that were like Dead and Buried, which you never hear talked about, which I think I need to bring up one of these days. Dead and Buried. Oh, Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man is somewhat like that too. There's a bunch of movies and things like that. I really enjoy that kind of a thing. And this has a bit of that. So you've got a young couple, and that is Alex and Laura, and she's very pregnant, and they are coming into this town of Tall Pines. Tall Pines, did they say where this was at? I thought they said Vermont, that's right. Tall Pines, Vermont. And they arrive, it's like this perfect town, and you find out really quickly, and he's going to be a police officer in the town, and she, like I said, is very pregnant, and she was a graduate of this academy that they have in town. It's an academy in the sense of academy, quote, for troubled youth. You know how you have these kind of retreats for troubled kids? They might send them to a camp for the summer where they have to maybe rough it out in the forest, and they have to learn about the hardness of life, but they also learn self-reliance and responsibility and things like that. So it's a combination of kind of rehab-ish sort of a thing. It's got troubled kids. They're maybe going to hopefully learn how to better cope with society, that kind of a thing. She's a graduate of that. She's in her probably early 30s. They're going to have a kid. And you find out really quickly, something's a little odd about this because they've been given this house by the academy. The academy has let them have this house, this really nice old house. And the first thing they notice when they get there, Alex notices that there's no doors. There's no doors on any of the rooms or any of the hinges. Like, why is there no doors? And then she, pushes it off as no big deal. It's just, don't worry about it. That kind of a thing. And as they slowly explore the town, you get hints that something's a little off. It's a little too idyllic. Everyone's a little too friendly. It's a little too small town America. There's got to be another shoe that's going to drop here. And that's kind of your basic setup on that side of the story. The other side of the story are two young friends that live in Canada, and that is Layla and Abbie. And Layla and Abbie are kind of getting into trouble, and you probably see where this is going. But especially her sister died when she was young, and since then she's become really gone sort of in the bad side of things. She's interested in dating this older dude. She's 15, and some guy maybe in her 20s, and she's doing drugs, and she's just not caring about school anymore and getting in trouble, but nothing extreme, but she's definitely heading down a bad path. And Abbie's her best friend, so Abbie's coming along for the ride, and Abbie's parents are very concerned that her relationship with Layla is going to cause her to, go a bad place. So very quickly, Abbie is essentially kidnapped. I don't know what you want to say. She's basically taken against her will to the Tall Pines Academy, where she immediately has to learn about life in the incarcerated for your own good Tall Pines Academy. And that's your two basic storylines. You've got Abbie, and let's say, I'll even tell you, Abbie and eventually Layla dealing with the Tall Pines Academy and the rules and the structures and the mysteries there and what kind of nefarious stuff may or may not be going on in the Tall Pines Academy. And then the other side is you've got the Alex and Laura young couple also with Tall Pines, the town, and their relationship with Tall Pines Academy, and Alex especially starting to get more and more suspicious of what is actually going on in this town and what is actually happening at this Tall Pines Academy. Now, within all of that, you're going to say, well, where's Toni Collette? Well, Toni Collette, no surprise, probably can figure this out, is the head of Tall Pines Academy. And, of course, you can imagine her charisma here is definitely closer to the hereditary side of things than to the, happy mom, or not happy mom, but I guess kind mom in Sixth Sense side of things. She's not as off the rails as the mom in Hereditary, but she has some moments that are definitely on the edge of that. And the whole vibe of this place, like the whole vibe of the show, is somewhere between, it's a little bit of Lord of the Flies and a little bit of Cuckoo's Nest. And I think it wants to have a little bit of Twin Peaks too. There's some odd humor and quirky folk kind of stuff. That part doesn't work quite as well because anytime you try to do a little bit of David Lynch, it's almost impossible to pull that off unless you're David Lynch, and we don't have David Lynch anymore. So what was my reaction to this? On the good side, I would say up until about episode 4 and 5, I was probably about episode 5 or 6, actually. There's only 8 episodes. Up until about the 6th episode, I was just really quite enjoying and maybe even almost loving this. Definitely, it gets to a point in episode 5 where I was like, this is just getting really good. I'm really engaged in all the characters. The mystery part of it is good. But even if the mystery isn't fully solved, there's enough meat on the bones here that what I do know is engaging, and I'm rooting for these characters to, prevail over the situation they're in. Specifically, the younger characters, the Layla and Abbie, are very likable. And also all of the menagerie of students at this academy. And unlike, it's not a weirdo academy like you get in something like, Wednesday, which is its own appeal. But it's much more of a, hey, us against them kind of a thing, more of a Cuckoo's Nest kind of an idea, like I said. So that part is, I think, really, for me, easy to engage in, where you've got, I guess the downtrodden, fight against authority kind of aspect going on. And I thought that was really good. The negative side of this is, it's if you're watching a race and you're leading the race and you have the fastest car on the track, you're just smoking everybody. And then the last lap, your wheel goes flying off and you skid across the finish line. It's a little bit like that, where it felt like the last 2 episodes started explaining stuff very quickly, and certain character changes, things happened that I wouldn't say they were unearned, but they turned and resolved and went in directions that I felt should have developed more fully instead of just happening. And it feels to me like, from a writer's sense or a production sense, like maybe they didn't believe they're going to get a second season here. So they almost crammed a second season's worth of material into the last 2 or 3 episodes, just in case they could at least get that stuff done. Almost like the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. That had a little bit of that too, where they had a whole bunch of ideas, but they knew they weren't going to get all the seasons to do it. So they just started cramming stuff into multiple things into one episode. I felt like that here, where everything was developing and really deepening as the series went. But by the final 2 episodes, it rushed towards not a conclusion, because this does leave it open-ended for you to have an ongoing series. But I would say specifically the character of Laura and what happens with Abbie and Layla, those stories made turns in the last 2 episodes that I thought was really fast and much, much less satisfying than the first 6 episodes were. Now, on the other hand, I'm really annoyed in some of these series where everything is milked out for so long, like it just takes seasons and seasons to get anywhere. And you're like, they're just milking it to get more episodes. And I don't want that. But also you want the story to really earn what it's built up to so far. And I feel like that's where this kind of fell off a little bit. So where by the 5th episode, I felt like I was at least a 4, if not a 4.5 stars on this show. At this point, I'm probably going to go 3.5 stars because, like I said, the first 5 to 6, I'm a little bit on the fence on episode 6, but the first 5 or 6 episodes were so strong, and I became so interested in even the side characters and so invested that I was just loving it. But those last 2 fell off so much that it drops it down, probably at least a full star for me. So I'm going to go 3.5 stars for Wayward. I think it's still worth your time. It's pretty bingeable. It is only 8 episodes. I would say as a barometer for you, if you make it through maybe 2 episodes and you're not feeling it, you probably won't. But I think it takes a couple episodes to get the tone and to get the full situation so you really know where you're at. And I would feel like if you're on board at that point, I think it's worth the ride. I mean, my wife and I think we watched the whole thing in 2 days. We probably could have watched it in 1 if we were really ambitious, but I think 2 days. So All right, next up, I've got Rabbit Trap. Rabbit Trap is directed by Bryn Cheney, and it really has basically a three-hander. In fact, this may truly be a three-hander. I'm trying to think if there's any other human beings that you see in this movie, and I don't think there are. I think it's truly three people. You got Darcy, played by Dev Patel. You've got Daphne, played by Rose McEwen, which I can't remember what the name of the movie was we saw her in. Something Blue, something. We saw Rose McEwen in a movie, and she was really good. She's good here, too. And then you have the child, played by Jade Crute. So, boy, this is a tough one. This is, and I'm curious to see what Eric thinks of this movie. This is the kind of movie that you either get with the vibe of it and you dig it, or it just is insufferably independent and meandering and slow and doesn't go anywhere kind of movie. It depends on how you feel early on in this movie, whether you're in for the vibe, because this is a vibe kind of movie. Absolutely. I could see Eric either kind of digging this movie or hating this movie. I'll be very curious, because I think he did watch this movie. Definitely it's kind of a movie that Eric doesn't like a lot of times. And if you're listening to only me and you're like, what's this Eric guy that Bruce keeps talking about? It's not my alter ego. It's not my second personality. Eric is one of the three members of CinemAddicts podcast that we have. Look it up. If you look in our feed here, you should see a bunch of stuff with Eric and Greg. All right. This takes place in 1976 in Cymru, which is Wales. I had to kind of look that up. But they do mention Wales or Welsh at one point. And one thing this does that I really like is it has a weird subgenre of horror, I guess. Horror is like horror, fantasy, sci-fi. Probably horror fantasy, I think, would be the approach of this. Mysterious. But it has a subgenre that I really enjoy, which is movies about people that do sound recording. Barbarian Sound System, I think is what it was called. Blowout is another one. The Conversation. There's these kind of movies where there's this kind of analog, old school audio recording and mysteries around audio and stuff. So the first third of this movie, the way they developed the mystery and the way they use sound in here, I was really loving it, engaged in it. And I always watch my movies, unless I'm in a theater, I always watch my movies with headphones on. That's just a constant for me. Partly it just helps me hear what's going on, but I just feel like I'm always more immersed in movies with headphones on. And in fact, I almost have a hard time watching them without headphones on. And I don't know, if that seems weird to you, try it. It's so great. You really get the sound, you really get the music, you really get the surround sound effect. Even with just simple headphones, you get much more of that effect than you would with just a regular old TV. I mean, of course, if you have a giant crazy sound system, go for it. But I don't know, to me, it's the way to do it. So it's really good for this movie. The basic idea is you have these two characters. Darcy is Dev Patel. Darcy is the ambient sound recorder. He goes around just in nature. In that case, they're out in the countryside, and he's just recording different sounds, birds. And he has the old school, reel-to-reel, like strap over his shoulder recorder with a big old little, big boom, directional boom mic. And he's going out and recording birds and the sound of walking through, the moss, the peat, or the sound of water dripping into a half-filled bucket after a rain, the sound of the wind, all that kind of stuff, right? He's getting all these sounds, and he's bringing it back to his wife, Daphne, and she's an experimental electronic musician that has some kind of a cult following. You don't really know the whole story of her, but you get she's put out albums and things, and she's a known entity. And he's recording these sounds for her, and then she's got this giant, like I said, analog, old school, synthesizer and all these different oscilloscopes and weird filters, machinery. As you imagine, it's like the setup that you might have had when they recorded Dark Side of the Moon or something. She's got this whole setup in this little cabin they're living in, and she's pulling these real life sounds that he's been recording, and she's filtering them and processing them and mixing them into her electronic music and just making these weird soundscapes. And it's just like all that stuff is really cool. So anyway, he's getting all these sounds, and one day he goes out and he's in this little grove, this wooded grove, and he finds there's like a circle of mushrooms. And if you know anything about mythology or folk tales, like out in the Welsh or Irish countryside, depending on where you're at in those areas, there's usually kind of folk tales about fairy circles. And fairy circles, these magical places, and a lot of times they're marked by a circle in the woods of like toadstools or mushrooms. And what he finds is something like that. And when he's there, he's getting really strange sounds. And in fact, I think if I remember correctly, he passes out and wakes up and listens to the music with her. And not the music, but the sounds, they're almost unnatural. And what's going on here? So it's becoming kind of magical and mysterious. And then out of nowhere, this young person, you're not even sure if it's a boy or a girl. And that's interesting. They call the person the child. It doesn't really matter. Played by Jade Crute. Person shows up and is just like curious, interested in what they're doing. And obviously you're like, whoa, is this a person? Is this a ghost? Who is this? Because this person doesn't seem to have any problem just hanging out with them for a long period of time and being around and just showing up and disappearing. But the person is there, not really threatening, showing them things like, oh, this special, is this at one point, there's this special plant growing outside of their cabin there. And they say, oh, that's to help keep away what do they call them? I wrote it down here somewhere. To till with teg, I can't even say it because you have to know Welsh. The Tilliteg, which is, I think, like woodland creatures or fairies, like again, or I don't know exactly how they'd be, designated, but those things are kept away by these little plants that are outside their house. So you get this combination of things, right? They're recording unusual events. They're having periods where they might pass out because of the sounds. There's this unknown stranger who shows up out of nowhere and starts giving them information and also being a part of their lives all of a sudden. And you've got all these stories of, possible supernatural creatures in the forest. So this is your whole world that you're living in. And I would say this is a movie, once again, where if you're grabbing into that vibe and you're enjoying it in that sense, it'll go a long way for your enjoyment of this movie. But if you're not, you're going to be probably absolutely bored or annoyed or just not on board for it. I would say for the first half of this movie, I was fully on board. I was like, this is fantastic. I'm loving this. It's so cool. It's so vibey. It has such an interesting soundscape for sure. A really lush, verdant, green, shot on film look. I don't know if it was shot on film, but it has that feel, that 70s like richness to the stuff, the look of the movie. All that stuff was just working 100% for me. I would say the payoff, the second half or the last third, doesn't quite work for me as much. It goes to the no place like ending that you sort of expect for these kind of movies, where it's like they have this great idea and this great concept and execution, but not really a place for it to really go. There's a bunch of stuff if you want to get like super metaphoric, or you might think that there's a bunch of symbolic stuff going on. There's stuff about relationships and maybe children and not having children and, humans in the natural world, a bunch of stuff like that going on here. But it doesn't quite gel for me. So most people are not going to vibe with this, but if it sounds interesting to you, and if you watch a trailer, for this, it probably wouldn't give you anything that would give away the movie. I didn't watch the trailer, but I'm guessing just by the way this movie's put together, it probably wouldn't ruin it. But if you look like you're interested in it, I'd say give it a try. You're probably going to enjoy it enough. If it doesn't, you're probably not. I'm mildly recommending this movie. I don't know if I'm going to go as high as 3.5. I think I'll go, because I'd be like 4 stars for the first half, and 3. Yeah, I'll probably go 3.5. I think 3.5 is fair for this movie. Once again, highly warning you that this is a very particular taste that isn't going to work for most people. And it doesn't 100% work for me, which is why I'm going 4 to 5 stars, because I could have loved this movie, but it didn't quite get there. But I enjoyed it. So 3.5 for Rabbit Trap. Okay, my last one is Traumatika. And I know that Eric and Greg are both reviewing this movie, so this is going to be a probably highly disagreed upon movie. And this is one of those where I feel bad because I know it's independent filmmakers, everyone's working hard on it, they're excited about their project, and I don't want to just, crap on somebody's hard work, especially when they're not, backed by giant money of a studio or anything. But sometimes you got to just say, what is the reaction you have to a movie? And mine was very negative to this movie. First of all, who do we got here? Traumatika is directed by Pierre I'm assuming it's Sigardis. It's T-S-I-G-A-R. Sigardis? I don't know. Probably saying it wrong. You got Mikey, kid, played by Ronan Abbott. You got Abigail, played by Rebecca Kennedy. And Alice, played by Emily Goss. And it starts out in 2003, and then it jumps forward to the future. So it does have two different time periods. And the basic thing is you have an abducted kid in a house. This is a little bit, oh boy, how do I describe this movie? This movie, first of all, it annoyed me so much that some parts of it has stuck in my head as terrible, and some parts of it have not stuck in my head. They've just left my head. Like it just flowed right through my head and didn't even stick at all. That's also not good for my reaction of a movie. I'm going to start with this. Usually when I don't like a movie, it's my personal taste. The movie didn't work for me. I don't like that kind of horror, whatever it might be. Usually I'll go like around 2 stars. Like it's a movie that I understand reasonably does work for other people. I mean, like for example, Terrifier. All the Terrifier movies, I really don't like them. I think I find them really distasteful. I hate the vibe of them and what they're going for personally. But I'll probably go 2-ish stars for them because I can also see, like, for other people, this is their thing. I can see it. It gets to me. If people said about Terrifier, this is the most violent, bloody, shocking movie you've ever seen, I can watch it and not be shocked by it or disturbed, but I can also look at it and say, I get it. I can see why that is that way to people. On the other hand, Traumatika, I've been seeing reviews, like quick little like blurbs and reviews, like shocking, independent triumph, the bloodiest, crazy things you've ever seen, like it goes hard and never lets up. All these kind of things from like horror fans where they're just buzzing this movie up as being this crazy thing. And I factually cannot figure that out. I can't figure that out at all. Sure, if grandma, is shown Traumatika, will she be shocked and appalled and will it be really gross to her? Yes. But when you say horror fans are reacting like this to this movie, I can't imagine any horror fan, seriously, I cannot imagine any horror fan, and I count myself in that group, watching Traumatika and saying anything higher than, it was okay, it was all right, it was a little bit, but it was okay. And I would expect most horror fans to be like, yeah, that wasn't great. It didn't really work very well. So part of my really negative reaction is that buzz. And I'm just like, that buzz is just, it's not even an opinion. It's factually wrong, I think. And that's weird to say. And it really is an opinion, but I really feel that way. I honestly do not understand how people are thinking this is shocking or disturbing. It's not. So haven't even talked about the movie. What is it? Starts out with a guy walking through the desert, Sahara or whatever it is, walking through the desert. He finds like a little, figurine in the sand, and then he stabs himself or something and bleeds all over the figurine. And then later on, the figurine is with a guy in 2003 Pasadena. And that's a very Exorcist beginning. And in fact, the whole first half is very Exorcist coded. This guy has this figurine and his friend's on the phone with him saying, or his colleague is on the phone with him saying, do not get rid of that thing. Don't have it anywhere near children. That thing is, basically that thing's evil. And if it's around children, it's going to be terrible. And then, don't open it. Don't open it. And of course, hey, let's open this and see what happens. And of course, smoke comes out and you're like, oh, this guy's going to be possessed now. And then the next, 40 minutes. This movie's about an hour, 20 minutes, I think. Next 40 minutes or so is people being spooky and possessed and demonish kind of characters in the shadows and jump scares and kids being abducted and maybe turned into creatures or abused by creatures or killed by creatures, and lots of I'm sorry, I think we interviewed this person, but so I'm not going to say the person's name, lots of acting, very overacting acting, where it's, isn't this evil? People are just like, mugging and staring at the screen and, hurting themselves in ways that's supposed to be shocking. And it's just, none of it, just all of it was just like, I've seen versions of this before, and it just didn't work in any way, I didn't think. And there's news reports that are very fake seeming. It's almost like if it had been a parody, I could see it maybe veering towards parody or comedy and working a little better, but it's taking itself very seriously. And at every turn, it's trying to be shocking and gory, but it's really just doesn't work in any way. And then, so yeah, like I said, the whole first part of this movie is the Exorcist-ish kind of stuff, just a grimy house somewhere. I guess it's supposed to be a burned out house. I don't know. And then how do I describe this? The final third, the act of this movie is more of a slasher thing where you jump forward to the future. And I'm not going to say who it is, but somebody from the first half of the movie now is a slasher of sorts. And they appear covered in just a sheet like a ghost. So it's very Halloween coded, like a whole bunch of Halloween coded things, like Halloween the movie, not Halloween the holiday. Neither side works well. There's almost a unintended comedy side to the second half, and it's very half-baked as well. It's almost like they had the idea for two, I guess, derivative movies, an Exorcist derivative movie and a Halloween derivative movie, but they didn't even have enough material for 2 full movies. So they just crammed them together and said, well, that'll make this a really surprising and an unusual movie, where our first movie leads to the second movie. It becomes an origin story for the second half of the movie. But oh my gosh, it's all terrible. I'm sorry, it's terrible. Is that factual? No, it's my opinion, but it's factual too. This is all I do not understand. I don't know how people give this shocking or disturbing or powerful or, maybe because there's a whole element of child trauma in this movie that's supposed to be at the core of it. But once again, that came across to be as very almost faith-based coded, almost QAnon coded. This is what's going on behind the scenes, this is how that's happening. It's not, don't worry. It's not that obvious, but there's a little edge of that in there too, which is just not working either. So I had a hard time. I would go 2 stars most of the time on movies like this that just didn't work for me. I didn't like. But there was a level of anger and annoyance and just how this movie could possibly get any hype, and how I was almost feeling like I was losing my brain, losing brain cells as I watched this, losing fun as I watched. It was pulling from me instead of giving to me anything. So I'm going to go, at one point I think I was watching it and I was like, does this get any better, guys? I was commenting on our little side stream, our little side chat. And they were like, well, if you're not enjoying it, you're probably not going to enjoy it. And I was thinking to myself, at one point I think I said to them, does this get above 0 stars? I don't give 0 stars for much, but I was actively hating this movie as I watched it. So I wrote on my little notebook here, 0 to 1 stars. So 0 stars feels harsh for this movie. If it was a big budget movie and it came up with this, I would give it 0 stars. But I think I'll go 1 star. And I'm trying to think of what the positive thing I'm going to say about it is. I think the actors were probably having a good time doing it. And I think the actors did the best they could with what they had. So I'll give it 1 star for the effort of the actors. And as Eric would say, it was in focus. I think it was in focus most of the time. So it looked terrible though. So I'll go 1 star. 1 star for Traumatika. My heart wants to say 0 stars. So that should give you enough to know that I highly don't recommend Traumatika. And if you see Traumatika and you see buzz around Traumatika and you're excited to see Traumatika, which I was excited to see Traumatika, if you're in that camp, mark my words, I suspect you're going to be highly disappointed. If you're not, well, more power to you. You got something in you that doesn't work for me because I don't get it. All right, that's all I got this week. I don't even know what we're going to watch next week. I might go see The Long Walk this week in the theater. I'm thinking about it. If I have time, me and my kid might go check that out. I know that's a story that Eric really liked, so I'm curious. I don't even know the story. I'm just going to go cold into the movie, just knowing it has some battle royale kinds of stuff to it, I think. Anyway, what's my top recommendation of the week? Probably Wayward. Check out Wayward on Netflix, see if you like it. It's decent. Talk to you soon.